They left the garden. The flaming sword turned at the gate, and paradise was closed, but not hope. A promise still breathed in the dust. A child would come, born of woman, who would one day crush the serpent's head. Eve bore a son. She held him close and whispered, "I have gotten a man from the Lord." She named him Cain. Another son followed. Gentle eyes, quiet hands, they called him Abel. Two brothers, two paths, two destinies, unfolding far from Eden. Cain grew strong in the fields. The ground bent to his plow. Harvests rose under his hand. Abel walked the pastures. The sheep knew his voice. He watched the stars and carried peace in his steps. The world pressed forward, but every sunrise east of Eden reminded them of what was lost. And then came the day when both sons brought what was in their hands and laid it before the Lord. Cain piled grain upon stone, baskets of produce, the sweat of his brow, the yield of the soil. Abel came too, but in his arms he carried the firstborn of his flock, the choicest lambs, the very best, set apart for God alone. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but Cain's he did not regard. And in the silence between the two altars, a storm was born in Cain's heart. The air thickened. Cain's face darkened. Heat surged in his chest. His countenance sank like a storm cloud, heavy with rain. Then came the voice, steady, merciful, unyielding. "Why are you angry? Why has your face fallen? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do well..." Sin crouches at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must rule over it. A lifeline was stretched before him, but Cain's silence was heavier than thunder. The sky was ordinary that day. Clouds drifted, birds scattered over the grass. Nothing gave warning except the storm inside one man's chest. Cain spoke to his brother. "Come, let us go out to the field." Abel followed, unaware, trusting. The field stretched wide and silent, shadows bent with the wind. Two brothers, alone. Cain's hands clenched. His breath quickened. Jealousy burned hotter than the sun overhead. The warning of God still echoed. Sin crouches at the door, but you must rule over it. But Cain did not rule. The anger ruled him. And there, between the rows of grass, Cain rose up against Abel, his own brother. The earth trembled with the weight of the act. The silence shattered. Abel fell. The ground opened its mouth and drank blood it was never meant to drink. Then came the stillness. A silence so heavy it screamed. No witness stood in the field. No voice cried out in that moment. But heaven saw, heaven heard, and the soil itself carried the sound upward. The voice of Abel's blood, crying, rising from the earth, piercing the throne of God. The field lay still, Abel's body silent, but silence is never empty. God came near, and his voice cut through the air. "Where is Abel your brother?" Cain's lips moved. Evasion dripped like poison. "I do not know." "Am I my brother's keeper?" The heavens thundered in reply. "What have you done?" The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. The ground that opened its mouth to receive it will no longer yield for you. No more strength in your plow, no more welcome in your furrows. From this day, you are cursed, a fugitive, a wanderer on the earth. Cain staggered under the weight. My punishment is greater than I can bear. You have driven me away from your face. Whoever finds me will kill me, but the Lord, even in judgment, remembered mercy. No, whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, a sign of protection, a boundary no hand could cross. Cain turned from the presence of the Lord, eastward still, to a land called Nod, the land of wandering. Cain went out from the presence of the Lord, further east, deeper into wandering. He built a city, but carried restlessness in his soul. A city cannot silence blood that cries. Abel's name meant vapor, breath, a mist that vanishes with the morning sun. His life seemed short, too short, but his faith still speaks. His sacrifice still testifies. His blood still cries out, not just against Cain, but forward, pointing to a day when blood more precious would speak louder. Not vengeance, but forgiveness. Not condemnation, but redemption. Adam and Eve mourned, but God was not finished. Another son was born. Eve named him Seth. For God has appointed another seed for me instead of Abel, whom Cain killed. Through Seth, a new line began. A line that would carry hope forward. A line that would whisper of the promise again. And in his days, men began to call on the name of the Lord. The voice of Abel's blood cried for justice. But a greater voice was coming, a cry that would shake earth and heaven. A cross that would answer every field of death. The story is not over, not east of Eden. Not even when blood stains the ground. Hope still walks forward. One step, one seed, one promise closer to fulfillment.